There we go. Okay. So point it all around, and then at the. You're gonna take a picture.
You gotta help him make what's mine? Come, guys, you can see Tati. No, the mayor is. Guys, come on, Tati's there. Okay, guys, want to go back to playing duck duck?
Welcome, everyone. Welcome and happy Hanukkah. Thank you all for joining. It's a pleasure to celebrate with so many people this momentous occasion and this great holiday of Hanukkah. 1 year ago, December 2019, there was a fellow in Wuhan, China, that one way or another, whether it was through bats or through some laboratory without getting into the details, had some virus, sneezed, and without anybody imagining what one sneeze can do, it changed the entire world. 7.7 billion people had their lives changed in one way or another by one person's actions. If we were to ask that person beforehand, do you see yourself a leader of the entire universe? Do you think your actions can affect the entire world? Of course, they would say, I'm an insignificant person. I'm just trying to make the ends meet for my family. I'm one of 12 million people just in the city of Wuhan. How in the world would I be able to affect the entire universe? And yet, one person's actions had such a great ripple effect where everyone was affected in one way or another. Every aspect that happens in our lives is for a reason. It's for a lesson. We see this again and again in history, starting also with World War I. If we read up, the cause for World War I started with one man pulling the trigger, and that eventually led to an entire battle of the entire world together, which World War I was the cause for World War II. And many other tragedies and changes that happened in the world were all a result of one man's actions. How much more so when it comes to the good? How much more so when it comes to positive influence, positive changes? A man may think, or a woman may say, what difference does it make if I light my menorah, if I bring some light into my life, if I say a kind word to a family member, if I forgive someone that has wronged me? This will never have cosmic changes for the entire world. I'm just an insignificant person by myself. How would I be able to have an impact on billions of people? But if it works for the virus, if it works for tragedies like wars, how much more so can it work where we change one aspect in our life? We do one thing good.
I didn't see you, Adam.
We have a positive impact in our lives. We become this lighting candle that brings a little bit of light into the entire world, just like we find with the story of Hanukkah. There was one Jew, his name was Matityahu, which decided that he will not subdue himself to what the Greeks were trying to impose upon the Jews in the land of Israel. He wasn't going to follow their ways and their decrees. And he said, I will not stand up for something that's not just. I will stand up for freedom. I will stand up for hope, for life, for liberty. And he fought back. He could have told himself many times over, there's no way I could win against the Greek army. They are extremely powerful. It's not possible for me to overcome them. And yet, he was extremely successful where his small actions led to another and another, where more people joined and it became a movement. We're now 2,500 years later. No one's celebrating the Greek Empire, but we're celebrating the few Maccabees, the Jews that fought back to allow us to have our freedom, to allow us to celebrate our religion with peace, with harmony, and we shouldn't have to worry. Each one of us in our lives is that little Abraham. Abraham was a Jew, first Jew that ever existed. He was one against the entire world. No one else believed in one God other than him. And when he started off on his mission, he could have told himself,
Then you can take a video of it.
There is no way
And I'll just
I can
turn
succeed.
it around and it will take a
And yet-
video itself. Okay.
And yet, this young Abraham, looking now, 3,000 years after he was born, most of the world follows in his beliefs. Most of the world believes in the higher power, thanks to Abraham. Each and every one of us, we may look at ourselves as insignificant, not important, non-consequential. We don't really make or matter to the great universe. But we must see ourselves the way God sees us. Each and every one of us, God says, the entire universe was created just for you. You can impact, you can change, you can affect, starting with ourselves, moving on to our close ones, our family, our relatives, and then to our community, and then to our entire environment. The more we're successful within our close-knit, we have the ability to change the entire environment around us. So each night of Hanukkah, we remember this message. We start off with lighting just one candle, and we move on to a second, to a third, signifying that just a small change is worth an entire night celebration. Just adding one more candle, one more good deed, one more bit of light into the world is already worth the entire 8-day celebration that we have for Hanukkah. So may we each take away from this Hanukkah celebration to say, what is it that I can add in my life? What change can I do to bring a little bit of more kindness and goodness into this world? And may we merit to be a world where ultimately it will be complete, full of God's light. Everybody will be able to live in peace and happiness, and may we merit for the coming of Messiah speedily in our days. I'd like to introduce someone that, based on our speech right now, God has entrusted him with tens of thousands of people to change their lives and influence them. He has a lot more light than all of us, and clearly in God's eyes, that was the case, and therefore God gave him this great position. And I want to share one thing that I found fascinating. With all the elections going on a national level, where millions of dollars are wasted on smearing another person's name, another person's campaign, another person's family, I believe our mayor was a beautiful example of the way a Jew should behave, where not only he didn't spend any time bad-mouthing anyone or putting down someone else, he invited over his opponent to have dinner with him in his home, which I think really exemplifies and is a lesson for all of us, how much we have to see the common denominator that we all have with each other. And there's, of course, going to be difference of opinions, but if we each focus on the aspects that we could bring and unite together, we will be able to have a successful life, a successful world where we'll all be able to share in the happiness of our lives. So without further ado, our dear Mayor, Mitch Ross.
Aloha! Thank you so much, Rabbi. You know, we are celebrating Hanukkah at a very interesting time in history. This last year, like the Maccabees are fighting the war. We were fighting a war of fear, and hopefully we're at the end of that war. And just as at the end of the war, and in Israel, they had enough oil for 1 day, but it lasted for 8 days. Right now, I'm gonna kind of let you in on a little secret, kind of breaking press right now. We have our own miracle happening here in Hawaii. As you know, Hawaii is got the lowest infection rate, and part of that is some of the things that we've been doing. Yeah, we can clap about that. A lot of things happening, like the oil that the Maccabees had that was only supposed to last for 1 day. The funds that we have for our testing at our airports is supposed to come to the end on December 15th, in 2 days from now. So in 2 more days, we're looking at having to pull the plug and maybe let a few more people in. But we have some amazing people on this island who got together and are going to continue the testing at our airport on our own dime, which is quite amazing. So when I did my inauguration, I talked about Menches doing mitzvahs. We got some real Menches. Menches are going to give me the official good people.
Someone that their mother is proud of.
Someone that their mother is proud of. And mitzvahs, you know, I'm going to say doing good deeds, but really, so, we're not here tonight, but a couple of guys jumped in and they started getting some help from the people on
Sweet
our people on the coast, a lot of people haven't really appreciated, but here they hundreds of thousands of dollars have been by new people. But it's hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to feed people from the hotel. Nobody really appreciated them. So a lot of good things. I feel so honored and blessed to be here. May we all do our own little mitzvahs and make our island a little bit better. So I thank you. I think we're going to go through the ladies. All right. Thank you all for coming. What a great sight to see everybody here tonight. This is I feel we have about 10, 15 people.
Make that really bad.
Thank you.